Here we go. We're
Look at
recording
that.
again.
It's like
Look at that.
perfect
Look at that
time
drop
too.
down. God, we're really good at this.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. This is episode 82 in our entire history, as we found out the other day. We're back. Deep Dives Part 4, Episode 6 of Season 3. NYC, New Boys Charlotte, Old New Boys Austin, Orlando, Philly, RSL, and Inter Miami.
Oh, we're rounding it off with a banger, huh?
We are the probably the biggest team to talk about. And to honor that, oh gosh.
Freedom to sign 5 DPs.
Freedom to break every roster rule imaginable.
Nice. I like it.
Who do you got?
Probably my favorite scarf that I bought. I think it was my first one too. But nice city skyline here. Any guesses? I don't know if you remember this one.
I thought it was RSL.
Yep.
I was going to break my Real Salt Lake one out, but I knew you had one. So I was like, I'm not matching him.
This is the place.
This is a place to do soccer. All right. Now, we will dive right into it. If you don't know what we're doing, check out our last 3 episodes. This is the 4th of 4 episodes. This is the last
finale.
one. The finale. You should know how it works, but if you don't, go check out our other ones. We're basically just going in deep, not so deep diving, because we can't get all the information in a 10-minute clip. Grace is
upset. Grace is representing the fans. They are upset that we are not doing a deeper dive.
Hold, please. But let's just jump right into it. It is time to tackle NYCFC, the MLS Cup champions, who we have to sing their fight song before we talk about them. Take me out to the ball. I have to get my shots in. They're better than us, so I have to get something in. Ronnie Dylo goes into another year after finishing 4th in the East with 51 points, 14 wins, 11 losses, 9 draws, and an MLS Cup to go with it. My projected 11, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but Johnson in goal with Tinnerholm if he's healthy, or Tavon Gray at right back, Kyans and Chanot, Amundsen at left back, Keaton Parks and Alfredo Morales in the center mid, with Maxi Morales up top, on the top of that triangle there. Andrade and Tyus Magano on the wings, with Tati or Hebert if Tati's not gone. Or if Tati is gone, rather, at striker. Same 4-3-3 that won them the league last season. Or won the playoffs last season, not the league.
You think there's any chance that Acevedo gets game time over Morales?
I'm sure that's probably where if they're going to rotate anybody, that's probably where it gets rotated.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see him starting right now.
There's also there's a distinct lack of Justin Hack in the team.
There is. The other thing I will say is that I also did all of this prep before they actually did sign a left back. I'm going to pull that up right now. His name is Thiago Martins, and I believe he starts over Admonson.
Transmark has listed as a center back.
Yes,
maybe he could play out on the left.
I believe he played on the wing for
he only played at center back his whole career.
The Japanese. I thought he was playing as a. I thought he was playing as a left back.
I'll look into it if you want to keep going.
Yokohama Marinos. No, he's a center back.
Oh, Amundsen's starting then. Now, question for you is:
Sure.
Is Mitrita back? He was only a loan, so is he back now?
He is not on their roster.
I see him on the roster. It just says he's loaned out, though.
Okay, well, on transfer market, he's not there. So I'm assuming because it was a mid-season loan, wasn't it? So if it was a 2-year thing, he'd come back in July.
Okay.
Did they improve? I said no. They really didn't sign anybody except a backup center back.
Yes, agreed. They did not improve.
Okay, what do they need then
They need,
to get better?
I would say they need depth. And I'm saying that kind of generally. I
Mhm.
think in the midfield, they're a little thin. Acevedo seems to be the backup, assuming they start with Morales, and then what? I think like that's about it. Um, I guess I would say they're also thin at fullback. They have Tavon Gray and Tinnerholm at the right back side, but then at left back, I think it's just Amundsen.
No, they've got 4 left backs.
They have 4 left backs.
You need to get on transfer market, sir.
They do have Zelalem at center mid, but is that really adding much quality?
I agree with you that they need depth, but I don't think it's in the back. I mean, their back line depth is younger and probably not as proven, but really what they need is attacking depth, right? You've got, if Tati leaves, it's Hebert and it's Tyus Magno playing striker, which are 2 good players, but Hebert's coming off an injury and you need Magno out on the wing. So you probably want to go find one more. Best addition for you? There's really only one.
Yeah, I mean it has to be Martins, right?
Yeah. Biggest
This
loss
is
for you?
sorry. This is they signed him as a DP
They did. They signed a designated player defender.
to be a backup.
Maybe they go 3 in the back, put Amundsen and Tinnerholm as wingbacks, go Parks and Morales, Maxi Morales, and then, or maybe 3-5-2.
They don't have. I don't think they have the depth to go 3 at the back.
They really don't. But who are you going to bench, right? Kynes and Chanot are your guy.
If it's, I wouldn't bench either of them, but if you had to, I guess it would be Chanot.
I'm thinking he goes at left back. That's why I wanted to put him there. I can't imagine, and I get that he's a center back, but I can't imagine you're taking any of the 2, arguably, 2 best center mids. Grace. Stop it. 2 best center backs in the league last year, and you're going to bench one of them now. I have to think that he's going left back or he's going 3 in the back.
That's a. I'll just say it. That's a very odd move if they're going to bring in a designated player to sit on the bench.
It didn't stop Red Bull. Red Bull did it.
Red Bull, it must be a New York thing. All right. Anyway,
Biggest loss for you?
James Sands.
Me too.
Easy.
Yep. Player to watch 2022. I've got 2. It's Andrade and Magno on the wings. 2 really big money moves by football group of City, who are ready to make this really big step forward. I think they're going to both. I think Magno specifically, but I think they're both going to have very, very good years this year.
Yeah, I was thinking those 2 as well, but just to pick someone different, I'll pick Keaton Parks. It's his time to shine now in the hierarchy of center mids, or I guess the lineage of center mids. It was Alex Ring and then James Sands, and it is Keaton Parks' time. So let's see how he does without Sands there to help him out.
All right.
And coming off of injury, I think, too, right?
Yep. End of the year. What's your big question going into the season?
At the moment, my question is if Tati's going to stay or not. I thought for sure he was gone, like 100%. He was out the door. But I mean, he's still here right now. And I know there's been rumors about him leaving, but nothing has seemed like super concrete. Like, all right, like the Turner to Arsenal thing where it wasn't confirmed official, but like it was pretty much set in stone that he was gone. And I haven't heard the same for Tati, so I'm wondering if he's going to be here.
They keep pushing back any offer that comes in. They just turn it down. NYC value Castellanos at 15 million, but they're only Palmeiras got close at 12.5, and River Plate I think put 10 in.
Man, I feel like they should have taken the 12.5.
They're gonna hold on to him until he walks like official, like free.
He's gonna.
Awful.
Well, the issue is like if they keep hold of him and block a move from him leaving, what if he just is like, all right, well, screw you guys. I'm not gonna like play nearly as hard anymore. And now his value just tanks and they get like way less for him.
Yeah, to be fair, he is signed through 2025, so I can't imagine they're gonna lose him on a free. But
No, probably not.
you
But
got
if he doesn't play, his stock is probably as high as it's gonna be all right now. I mean, he's golden boot and they won the championship. They should capitalize on it because I don't think it's gonna go up much more.
100%. I don't think he breaks any records next year. And I could be wrong because I was wrong last year. I thought he was going to be a bust last year, and he came out and did a lot of very good things. But I don't think he's breaking records next year, and I don't think that I agree. I don't think his stock's going to go up much higher than where it's at. That was also my question: how long is Tati here for, and who is next in line after a Bear? Right, we're talking about how they're not super deep. Who's the next guy up? And it's probably going to be some Man City loanee that's going to just filter through. But where do you have them finishing?
I still think they'll be in and around the playoff picture. I think that they will probably slip down a little bit with the loss of Sands. If they lose Tati and they don't replace him, I would definitely drop them down more. But assuming Tati's here, since he's still on the roster, I'm thinking like 5 through 8. I think small chance they miss the playoffs, but
really,
yeah, I think the East is strong this year, and I think NYC finished 4th last year. I think, right? 4th.
Yeah,
And I don't necessarily think that they improved. I think the loss of Sands is going to hurt more than people think. Because I don't, similar to where you sit, I don't know for sure if Keaton Parks is going to be able to fill that role.
sure.
And Alfredo Morales is definitely not a good replacement for James Sands. But that's kind of why I think that they'll hover around the same area. What do you think?
I've got them 1-4 in the East. I think they brought back pretty much everybody who won them the cup last year. And I think Bear is going to come back fully healthy. Tati's not gone yet. And when your field is this wide, you can get away with not having James Sands for half the year.
Well, let me ask you this though. If they won the cup, and I know we make this argument all the time, they won the cup. How much of that was just them being hot at the right moment? Because like in the league,
playing against teams that were
playing against
COVID
Philly,
struck, right?
playing against
I
the
get
Philly
it.
youth team.
I get it, but they know how to play together. They know the system, and Dyla is ready to.
Yeah, but the system got them to 4th last year. It's not like they won the league and they weren't close.
Okay, we'll have to figure it out.
All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah. This one's gonna probably take some time. So let's dive into this one. It's also exciting.
This one might actually be a deep dive. Charlotte FC, the new boys in town, managed by Miguel Ramirez. This was tough. I don't know I have no idea what their shape is going to look like, what their starting 11 might look like. So I took a guess because why not?
Yeah.
Cisniega in goal. I have him in a 4-3-3 with Harrison Awful, McCoon, Walks, and Fuchs in a back 4. Alcivar, Franco, and Ruiz in a 3. And then ahead of them, Ortiz, Reyna, and Vinicius Melo. That's how I kind of think they'll start. Did they get better this window? Yes. They went from 0 players to players. Good job. What do you think they still need? Like, what part of this team do you think is missing?
What about I didn't think I heard his name, but what about their DP signing of, oh god, I'm gonna botch this, but it's like Swiderski?
Oh, the Polish striker, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't there when I prepped this, that he signed afterwards, and Swiderski, right?
Yeah,
So now,
I got to imagine he starts over Mello.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine they start together. So I'm gonna say you drop. Oh gosh,
Yordi and someone. I would think
yeah,
Yordi.
I would drop Yordi and put Mello on the wing, and then Swiderski at striker. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch them build this team. One of the guys that I really like that they took in the draft was Ben Bender. He's got a really high ceiling. What do you think they still need to add? I mean, they're still building their roster, right?
Yeah, I think when you go through their lineup, I feel as though the defense is maybe their weaker point. I think Cisniega in goal is okay at best. It's
Don't
not
say
great.
it.
What? I mean, it's no Maxime Crepeau, but
The other person that I would talk about, and he also signed after I went through some of this,
Kalina.
Kalina.
Mhm.
He played for Ludogorets last season. He has a Croatian second league title, a Bulgarian championship, and a Bulgarian Super Cup. So the guy knows how to win. I would reckon that he probably gets a start over Cisniega, actually.
I think so too. But I'd still, yeah, I'd feel a little bit uncertain just seeing as how he has no experience in this league.
You don't need experience to be a good goalkeeper in this league. The only person who's messed that up is Ray Simboli.
How many I'm trying to think of how many goalkeepers really come outside of the league and jump in. I think of a lot of guys like the top ones have usually come through like the systems, like Crepeau, Turner, Blake.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm looking at some other players here that might fit into this team. What were you saying?
I was just saying about how I feel like a lot of the top goalkeepers come through the teams in this league, like Crepeau, Turner, Blake. I feel like
They all came out of college. I think outside of Crepeau.
yeah, but it's still like it wasn't like they were just signed from another team outside of the league. And yeah, I feel like they can be successful. Like Gaes is pretty good, Cornell. So it just seems like the top of the top usually are the guys that are very familiar with the league. But anyway, going way off tangent. I still feel like defense is a probably not. I'm not going to say it's a weak point for them, but I just think it's a weaker point. Like Walks and Lindsay in the back line, they're solid, but you know, I don't know if Lindsay's even gotten enough time to be like the out and out starter for a full season because he's always rotated with Zusi.
Mm-hmm.
And like Walks is good. I think he's a little bit underrated, but you know, that's just my opinion. I it's hard to say because this team hasn't played at all together.
Yeah, another person to keep an eye on would be Jan Sabinski. He's a center back out of Poland who has been working his way through the Polish system. He got purchased by Charlotte for $2 million in July of 2021 and has been on loan there until the season kicks off. So he will probably slide in as well. They could go into a 3-5-2 and play McCoon, Walks, Sabinski with Lindsay and Mora if they want to be more attacking, with Kalina in goal.
That's risky because they don't have the depth at center back to really do that.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
You also, I mean, you have Fuchs who can play at center back just as a pure defender, right? He's got the ability to do that. But then you can play on the wing or in the middle with Alcivar and Franco with, wingers of, like we were talking about, Ortiz, Mello, and Swiderski up top. There's a lot of ways this roster can go, and it'll be interesting to see what Ramirez does to bring it full circle. They definitely need a playmaker. There's not really a true out and out playmaker unless you want to count like Sergio Ruiz in that spot. So that might be something to look at. And again, if you're going to use wingers, you might want to get a little bit more depth there as well. For me, the best person they've brought in so far is Vinicius Melo. I think he's got massive upside for this team coming out of Internacional. He's young. He's 19 years old. It's going to take him a little bit to adapt, but I think he will be able to be the first person this team takes in for, I think I bought him for like 2 million and sells him for 4 or 5. But I think he's got really good upside, and is definitely one to be watching for sure.
I'm going to say Swiderski for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think from what I saw, he had like 14 appearances. This is on Transmarket. 14 appearances and 6 goals so far for the Polish national team. It reminds me a bit of like Buksa, who's, he's in and around the Polish team as well. And if you can get a Buksa out of Swiderski, that's fantastic.
It's a very, very good start. Absolutely.
So, I kind of see like that's the potential there for him. So, I mean, if they got it, fantastic.
Yeah, love that. Biggest loss, Ismail Treasury-Shroudy, right?
How can you consider anybody a loss?
Just kidding. Yeah, there's obviously no loss there. Player to watch, I kind of just put the whole team in general, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But Swiderski and Melo and all these bigger signings that are going to be the focal point of the guys you're going to want to watch for sure. What about you?
I would say kind of like the whole team as well. And then if I had to pick somebody, maybe Sergio Ruiz for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. What is your big question? I'm sure we will have the same one.
Yeah, I want to know how they line up.
Yep. I also, as a little bit of a nerd, I like to talk about tactics and play styles and stuff. So I'm interested to see kind of what roles and responsibilities some of these players have. Are they going to if they play Melo on the wing, are they going to let him be more of a free roaming, kind of tuck inside, drift out wide, kind of give him freedom? Swiderski, is he more of an out and out striker? Are they going to play target to him and run off him? What the shape is going to be? And the big one for me is how quickly is he going to be? And this is Miguel Ramirez now. How quickly is Ramirez going to be to make changes to things that don't work? Right? We've seen that hurt a lot of startup teams where they don't change their style, they don't change their shape, they don't change anything when things aren't going well, and they end up missing the playoffs. How quickly is he to make a hook, make a change, and see what they can get out of it? That's something I'll be watching. All right, where do you got them finishing?
This is going to be the hardest team out of any team we go over to place where they finish.
Yeah,
but it's hard to say that with the quality that this league has been producing, it's, I think, a lot harder to say that this team will like jump right in and like immediately have a huge impact and like storm up the standings. So I want to be a little bit more cautious. I want to like give them a pretty big range because I just have a lot of uncertainty. Like I think the potential is high for them. Like I could see them maybe, I don't know if I see them higher than like the lower part of the playoffs, but I could see them possibly making the playoffs. Maybe like 6 to like 11.
That's a big range. It's like half the league.
I don't really know how to place them. It's hard.
I don't disagree. The way that I see it is going to take a little bit of time for them to get things going. Kind of like Austin, they'll make a push. They'll be in it a little bit. They'll drop off. I'm going to say 7 to 10 in the East. Maybe they slip in, but probably not.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of new teams to the league,
The guys from last year?
Transition.
Transition. Connor getting good at this. Austin FC, managed by Josh Wolf in year 2. They finished 12th in the West last year with 9 wins, 21 losses, and 4 draws to get them on 31 points. Definitely left a little bit to desire out of this team, but also have started improving already in terms of what they want to do. I've got them in a 4-2-3-1 right now, but I think it will probably come out differently. Stuver in goal, Lima, Gabrielson, either Cascante or Romagna, and then Kolmanek, with Ring and Valencia in front of them, with either Pereira or Druisi. And the reason I have a slash is because Druisi probably will go out on the wing where Finley is. But it can be Finley or Redes, Fagundes or Dominguez on the left, and Urruti or De Gette up top. There are a lot of different ways this team can line up because a lot of people have the ability to play in multiple spots. Druisi can play anywhere in the front 4 spots. Pereira can play anywhere in the midfield 3 spots. Just a lot of ability to move people around. But do you think they got better?
Yes, I do. Again, it's probably not super hard to say that, seeing as how they finished second to last in the West.
Yep.
But I think their biggest problem was attack last year, and that was blatantly obvious. They just could not score goals.
Yep.
And I think they made a good effort to try to improve that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they got better with Valencia over Pereira and allowed Pereira to be more naturally forward, which is where he's more comfortable. Beasley retired and they brought in Gabrielson, which I think is pretty much like to like. And Urruti coming in is obviously going to give them MLS experience, goal scoring ability. I think that's a really good pickup there from them. In terms of what they still need, feel like you want a true number 10. Their best playmakers all kind of are wingers and have the ability to play inside, but really you want to get a true Pereira. You want to get a true Pozuelo. You want to get somebody whose only job is to get the ball and play it into space.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think they need a central playmaker for them. Most likely they will probably just stick one of their wingers and make them play centrally, or they go with Pereira, like you mentioned. One other thing I say that I think that they'll need is a bit more central midfielder depth. Assuming they go and play Valencia and Ring together, their only backup is Felipe Martins, I believe.
Yep.
So I would say grabbing one more guy there would probably solidify that spot.
Okay. Who was the best addition then this year? As you look up who they brought in.
No, I cannot. I may end up missing somebody. Yeah. A part of me wants to go Valencia, but I think no, you know what? I'm gonna go Valencia. I think Valencia will make a good difference for them in terms of kind of unleashing other players, like bringing him in kind of as the ball winning midfielder, that kind of like last line of defense before the back line, can allow Ring and Pereira to push forward more.
You have
help the attack.
You have this idea in your mind, like Ring is this massive.
I'm not saying that he is going to be like, he's not going to be their number 10.
Every time we've talked about Valencia or Austin coming in, you always paired it with now Ring can go forward.
Yeah, because I think Ring could be more like box to box now as opposed to just having to clean up. Because like we talked about this before, and you had mentioned that like, Ring he can make mistakes sometimes, and last season he was like the last line of defense before the back line. So if he makes a mistake, he now like puts the back line in a tough spot. But now he can he can make those same plays, make those mistakes, and Valencia is there to clean it up. So now I think he has the freedom to like, even if he's not the best playmaker going forward, he still adds numbers, and he's still someone that they have to like account for.
I think you are putting too much weight on the fact that you think he's going to go forward. And I don't, I'm not saying he can't, but I don't think he will. I don't think that's the job. And I'm not saying he won't be involved in the attack at all, but they're not bringing Valencia in so they can free up Ring. They brought Valencia in so they can free up Pereira.
No, I agree with you, but like someone has to link the back line to the attack to like where Pereira is. I don't think Pereira would drop all the way back to the back line to start like linking up the attack. I think that would be more where Ring plays, where he can kind of, he's not going to go forward to where Pereira is necessarily, but he can be the guy to like link, let's just say, I don't know, Cascante and Pereira, trying to be in between so they don't have to just ping it all the way up to the attack every single time. But anyway, if I was between him and Urruti.
Okay. Well, the answer is Gabrielson. Because if they were stuck with Cascante and Romagna. He's got good French league experience, good size, good athletic ability. I think he will be a really good replacement for Diesler, and slide in pretty easily. So that was the right answer.
Yeah, it's not.
Who's their biggest loss?
Probably Beasler, honestly. I think he brought a ton of MLS experience to this team. He may not have been the biggest loss, like in terms of quality on the field, but I think at least from a leadership experience, like winning mentality standpoint, I think it's going to hurt to lose Beasler.
I put Pochettino just simply for the fact of the potential that he could have had with more help around him. But 26 games, didn't really have too much output. It's not really a massive loss. And again, how can you have a massive loss when you were that bad, right?
Yeah.
All right, who are you watching in 2022?
I'm going to be watching. You want me to say Alex Ring?
I want you to say whatever comes to your heart, Connor.
I'm going to watch Driussi because I feel like he came in pretty late last year, and I do think he was starting to help the Austin attack improve a bit more. I'm curious to see where they end up playing him, whether it's at the striker position or on the wing. But I think he's going to be a big reason as to whether or not the Austin attack is going to improve. Because I think he's their big name guy that they brought in to improve this attack. And I think it was a good move. But I'm going to be watching because I think there's a bit of uncertainty as to like where he's going to play and how he's going to play.
I'm watching Alex Ring.
He stole my whole flow.
I think a lot of their success is going to depend on how well he gets on with Valencia, but also the fact that he just got a brand new designated player deal after hitting the wrong side of 30. Is he going to fulfill that contract, or is he kind of just going to have an season, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'll cut this part out, but I'm curious to know where you think Ring, like, how does Ring fit into the system? What do you see him
very easily in a double CDM pivot?
Do they need to?
Yeah.
I think
Now remember that Valencia is also listed as a pure number 8. So if anybody's going to be linking play, it's probably going to be him. But that's just me. But it's not hard to figure out where he fits in if this is the shape they're going to go with. You know,
okay, I can see that.
It's not difficult.
I mean, Ring's listed as an 8 too on here.
Yeah, but he's not an 8. Transfer market's wrong there.
Maybe they're wrong on Valencia.
They're not.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on.
What's your biggest question for them?
My biggest question is how they line up in attack, because that was their weak point last year. And I think that's obviously where they need to improve. They brought in a ton of players to try to improve it. So who's going to play where and what combination is going to work to fix that issue from last year?
So it sounds like you're just reading off of my notes then.
It sounds like you're reading off of mine because I went first.
What will their attacking lineup look like is my question, right? You're
Copy my
losing,
question. Sure. Go
you're
ahead.
losing Pochettino to open a wing spot for Druisi. Are they going to give the keys to Pereira? Are they going to change their shape? That answer, however they try to answer that question, is going to define if they're successful or they fail. Simple. Where do you got them finishing?
I definitely seen improvement over last year. I don't know if this team makes the playoffs. I think potentially they could. So I'm kind of leaning towards going like 7 through 11 right now. I think maybe they could sneak into the playoffs, but I still think they maybe miss out most likely.
If we're in MLS 4.0 and it's all about scoring goals and we're comparing defenders and if their defense can keep goals out, I don't think this team does it. I've got them back in the bottom half of missing the playoffs, so 10 to 14. I'm not sold on these guys just yet. All right. Orlando City.
It's a good one.
This will be a good talk. Oscar Pereira comes back in and takes a team that was finished sixth in the West, sixth in the East last year. 51 points, even with Atlanta, who finished fourth, right? Fifth rather. So they were fighting. I think NYC had 52 points. So it was real tight in there. So six doesn't really speak to much, but a lot of players coming back and a lot of new players in as well. So you're looking at a back four that's relatively unchanged. Gallese, Ruan, Antonio Carlos, Janssen, and Matinho. Then as you move forward, it gets a little bit different. You've got either Mendez or Arujo at the CDM spot with Urso and Pereira. Probably Mendez and Urso to start with those two switching in. Mauricio Pereira at the cam spot with new boy Facundo Torres on the left, Vanderwater on the right, and either new designated player Cara starting or the person who probably should be starting, Alexander Pato. There's a lot of turnover in that attacking lineup after losing basically their front three. What do you think about their window? Did they get better?
Yes, I do. I think they got better.
Why?
I think Facundo Torres has got the potential to be an MVP type player in this league. So I think that's fantastic. It's I know they lost Nani and Mueller, but I think he's a great guy to bring in there and fill at least one of those holes. And then Arujo is a little confusing, seeing as how they're just already so stacked in that position. But again, another high potential player that I guess because they're so stacked in that position, maybe there's less pressure to come in and perform immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, adding the depth there into competition will definitely help. And the back line pretty much stayed exactly the same. I think Kara striker is a good addition. I think that will help fill the DK hole a bit. Going through this, maybe not actually. I'm gonna change my mind and say that they didn't improve, but I don't think they got worse.
Correct. That's the right answer. I said that they got a wash. They brought in good players, but they brought in good players to replace good players, right? And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but completely brand new front three, right? That's kind of crazy. Players that they still need to improve. I'm not sold on Vanderwater being your starting right wing yet. Didn't get enough time last year for me to really love what he was doing. They did play more of a four center mid look last year, so they didn't really have a ton of wingers. I think Nani started up top a lot and kind of drifted out wide. You need some number 10 depth. You only got really one attacking mid who can do the job. So if he goes down, you guys are SOL. And then some left back depth. You've got two people who can play left back, and one of them is your starting center back.
Yeah, I feel like every season we come in talking about how Orlando needs left back depth, and they just never do it.
Fair.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, looking left back's definitely super thin. I think the wingers are very thin. I agree with you. I'm not sold on Vanderwater. And Torres is as much potential as he has, he's completely up in the air. We have no idea if he's going to perform well in this league. If that's the
Just like
case,
Insigne.
which say?
Just like Insigne.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then outside of those two, it's just Benji Michelle, who's the only other winger listed on this list.
Who's not bad.
No, he's definitely a great depth piece, but that's pretty thin. I mean, those are three guys right there.
Yep.
Unless I don't, unless they move someone else to the wing. But if it is like you say, and they're going to play four midfielders and not play with wingers, then that's not really a big deal. Then that they're lacking in wingers,
Right.
but it also kind of limits them because now they can't really change the shape if they do want to go with wingers because they're very thin there. So that's what I'll say. So pretty much in line with what you had mentioned.
Yeah. Basically just taking all my ideas. I get it.
This time I stole your notes.
Best edition. Who you got?
Torres.
Yeah, me too. Immediate replacement for Nani or playing as a striker. You can do it both.
Yeah.
Biggest loss we got.
Probably Nani. Yeah. It's
That's funny.
what? Because
Go
I
on.
didn't say DK.
Go on. Finish your thoughts.
Nani was the face of the team. I honestly, he was like the heart and soul of that team. He was fantastic. He was way better in this league than I expected him to be, and was still playing super well even up to last season. So it was. I get it. I get moving on from him to bring in someone younger. I absolutely think that's the correct move, but you knew for a fact that Nani was a top player in this league, and Torres, the question is still up in the air. So I think losing Nani's it's gonna hurt. But they lost a bunch of good people. Like Mueller is definitely up there. DK's up there in terms of who they lost, but I'll go Nani.
The answer was DK, but you tried. And I find it funny because we had like a 30-minute argument over if Pepe or DK was the better player. You said DK was literally the best U22 player in the league and gave me all these stats and numbers. And you're going to say Nani is a bigger loss than him. That's silly.
Nani was a borderline MVP candidate.
No, he wasn't. Quiet down.
Nani's time
Why?
here. You're going to tell me Nani was never borderline of MVP candidate?
Not once.
Oh my, you're
Not
crazy.
once. Not once. And I'll sit down and look at the numbers after the episode, but not once. Was he borderline MVP, best 11? Maybe. MVP? You're bonkers.
Bonkers.
Player to watch 2022. I'll put it out there.
It's you gotta tell me why DK.
Oh, because he was their top goal scorer last year. He was a great presence in terms of size and athletic ability, and that's something you can't teach. You can't teach size. So that's going to be tough to replace. And I don't know what Kara looks like. I don't know what Erkan Kara looks like. But here's what I'll tell you. I did look up his picture the other day for the transfer post that we're going to make. This dude gives me such Zlatan vibes. It's unreal. Just looking at his face, he looks like he's about to walk in and be like, yeah, I'm the best player on this field, and you're going to deal with it.
Well, hopefully he could back it up.
Oh, yeah. No, I'd love that.
I mean, that's not a bad mentality to have. Back yourself, absolutely. Get that confidence.
Yeah, he has made his debut. He made 7 appearances for the Austrian national team. He is 1.92 meters tall, which in American is
in American.
Yeah. 6'3.5".
That's pretty big. Coming from a short person himself. That's I'm not jealous.
You trying to fight?
Why am I trying to fight? No, I'm saying I'm calling myself short, not you.
Oh, I thought you were. All right. Anyways, player to watch for me is going to be Facundo Torres or Kaka. Kaka. We're back in Orlando 2015 days. Eric and Kara, they've got to replace 29 goal contributions between Nani and DK. So they're going to have the ball if they want this team to be back where it was last year. What about you?
I'll go with the easy answer. Just say Torres. I think
Always taking the easy way out.
I think there's a lot of expectations on him to perform, so I'll be keeping an eye on him.
Okay. Big question. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, my question's kind of around our entire conversation that we've had.
Who's better, Nani or DK or Pepe?
No, my question is regarding how they're going to replace their front three from last season. How do they replace Mueller, DK?
Do you want to just take my notes, Connor? Is this?
Well, all right, fine. I'll do a different question then. Who starts in center mid for them? Because they have like 5 players that can do it.
Good. My question is, how are they going to replace their front three?
Oh, where'd you come up with that one?
I came up with it 4 days ago when I was prepping this episode. Or really the better question is, will they all be able to get firing from day one? How much time that it takes for them to gel together is probably going to decide if they're good or bad this year. Where do you got them finishing?
They'll definitely still be in the playoffs in my mind. I'm a little bit unsure as to where. I'd say I don't know if they're necessarily going to win the East. I'm kind of leaning towards like 2 through 5.
Yikes. I've got them 5 through 8.
Wow, I think you're underselling them.
I think that it's going to take a little bit of time for these guys to get working.
You say that about everybody. You're like, oh, anybody comes outside of the league, it's going to take them 15 games to get used to it.
Bradley Wright Phillips has 100 and something goals in MLS, and his first season he was here, he scored 4.
Is that your standard just because BW?
Bradley Wright Phillips is everybody's standard. How dare you disrespect the GOAT?
I think you're overselling that factor.
I'm going to fight you.
All right. Well, anyway, Orlando fans, you know where to direct your hate. You can ask Minnesota fans for tips. They'll tell you how to do it correctly.
Let's move on before I punch Connor through the screen. Philadelphia Union. Jim Curtin enters year like 75. And last year, his team finished second in the East with 54 points, 14, 12, and 8, bringing back a lot of the same players.
We could make this super quick. Like Philly's just going to do exactly what they did last season. All right,
you're not going to know half of the players that come off their bench. You're barely going to know half of their starters. They're going to win games 1-0, and they're going to finish second.
I'll say it. I think Philly is the modern day SKC. Like it just reminds me of that. Like it's just the same team every year that is good and
right.
What?
SKC still exists, right?
I know, but I think
so. They can't be the modern day because SKC still.
I say modern day in the fact that like for a while SKC was just putting out the same team every year, and it got them. How
about the Eastern Conference? How about the Eastern Conference SKC?
No, well, SKC isn't doing that anymore. They rotate. They've rotated. They don't have Beasler, Sinovich. They don't have
barely.
What?
I'm pretty sure I could close my eyes and on any random day in the future predict what the starting 11 is going to be if everybody's healthy.
For who?
SKC.
Sure, whatever you say.
Anyways, let's go into what their 11 might look like. This guy Blake in goal, kind of good.
Joe Bendick. Joe knows.
Joe knows. Mbaizo, Elliott, Gleesnes. I don't know who that is. And Wagner in a back 4 with a center mid 4, 4 center mids of Martinez, Flock, Bedoya. Actually, we need to make a change here.
Yeah, no more Montero.
No more Montero. This was announced about 30 minutes before we started recording. So Montero's out. Does that open a spot for somebody like Jack McGlynn? Does it open a spot for somebody like Paxton Aronson to take the keys? And
Probably not.
I would have to say I think so.
I think you're forgetting out of the player.
You could do Gazdag too.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
most likely Gazdag.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably gonna be Gazdag, but you got Jack McGlynn, you've got Cole Turner, you got Bueno, you've got a lot of different players who can fill that spot, and they're all capable of playing. The one thing I've learned about watching Philly for the last 3 years, all of them can play.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how old or who they are. Now, the striker situation is fun. Julian Carranza, new DP from Inter Miami. And their other DP, Michael Ure. Michael Ure still currently is not in the country. He's having visa issues. And he might not make it before the season starts. So
I don't, by the way, I don't think Carranza is considered a DP.
I heard that he was.
Well, as of this moment on Philly's MLS roster from the website, he is not listed as a DP.
Well,
but maybe
in the comment section of Tom Bogart's tweets, which are much more
official
than
MLS themselves.
MLS themselves.
And maybe Philly is pulling an Inter Miami, and we're gonna find out later that there's actually 8 designated players on this team. Tell me I'm wrong.
That'd be pretty funny. If he doesn't get here, you'll see Sergio Santos starting up top. Honestly, if he does get here, you're probably seeing Sergio Santos start up top until he gets acclimated.
I think Santos over Carranza.
No, 2 strikers. Carranza.
Oh, okay, got it.
I know you don't listen to me, but
no, I don't listen to you.
Did they improve?
I will say no. I think they washed.
That's what I got. I got a wash as well. I think. Well, now if you consider McGlynn, I'm sorry, McGlynn. If you consider Montero gone with Shabilko, they brought in 2 strikers. They're going to give the keys over to Gazdag. I think. Yeah, I mean, they didn't get massively better, but it's a wash.
Yeah, I agree.
Do they need anything else?
I think you probably. I would like to see them bring in maybe a more veteran attacking midfielder. I think that they have a ton of options there, but outside of Gazdag, I don't know if any of them are above the age of 19. So I also think they need a bit more left back depth, because Kai Wagner is phenomenal, but there's rumors that he's out the door at some point. It could be in the next transfer window. And then what's your option there? It's Sorensen's the only other left back I see listed here. So I'll say left back first is where they need more depth. And then I think a more experienced attacking midfielder would definitely help. Whether they start or not doesn't really matter, but thoughts?
I also said left back depth. Probably the only thing I would add, because I think Wagner's out the door soon. Just to jump back to the Montero move, Tom Bogart says that Philly has an open DP spot behind Ure and Carranza as Montero departs after 3 seasons. Montero will be a DP for San Jose, and gives them some insurance when Chofis Lopez's loan expires at the end of June.
So I guess he is a designated player.
Yeah, so there's your roster designation update.
It's crazy that this team still has a designated player spot open. Like imagine they just nail the attacking midfield position. They bring in some like superstar attacking mid. Like this team is deadly.
I think it is the stupidest thing in the world that there are teams that don't use those spots.
Yeah, it's wild to me.
It doesn't
make any sense.
Best addition for me was Carranza. Probably had the most upside of anybody in that first year of Miami's existence, but with the money issue and stuff, he had to be moved. So let's see if he can excel under this new system with Curtin and see if he can bag himself some goals and get himself a move.
Yep, I agree.
Biggest loss, I'll say Gibilko.
I'm going to say Montero.
Okay. I think
they've replaced Gibilko fine.
I don't know, man. If Ure doesn't get in and get up to pace, Carranza's not Gibilko. Just saying.
He doesn't play the same way, but I think he can still produce.
Yeah. I agree Montero's a big loss, but I think
well, they haven't replaced Montero at all. I know they have options.
Well, it's wild because it happened 30 minutes ago. So I would hope they haven't replaced him yet.
Well, they could have been ahead of the curve. I also want to mention quick side note on the Montero thing. I think they sold him. They undersold him a ton. I think San Jose got a steal.
Oh yeah,
there.
no, it was a steal. But from what I was reading on Mr. Tom Bogart's tweets, it was he wanted a new contract. Then they weren't going to give it to him. And Montero said he was going to walk for free at the end of the year. So they got what they could out of him.
Okay.
But 450 GAM in a league that is now selling people for $2 million for a player.
Yeah, they did get an international spot, which is going for like 250K. So
yeah, so you're looking at up to 700K.
Yeah,
probably not the worst, but definitely could have done better.
Yeah, I agree.
If Alistair Johnson goes for 1 million, Montero goes for $1 million.
They were put in a tough situation. It wasn't like Johnston was forcing his way out.
Yeah. Player to watch in 2022. I put any one of their center mids that are under 20 years old that'll probably make a move to Europe in the next few years. Aronson, Sullivan, McGlynn, Turner, any of those guys, if they get any minutes, keep an eye on them because they'll be the next people out the door.
Mine was pretty similar, but I said Leon Flach. I think this is his breakout year to get that move to Europe. I think he's due for it at the end of the season.
Okay. All right. Give me your big question then.
Big question is about the striker position. I think.
What about the striker position?
Who ends up getting the starting spot there? I think I see 4 guys on this list right now that I think do a job in this Philly system. Honestly, I know they play 2 usually, but I think Ure, Carranza, Santos, and Corey Burke. I think all 4 of them could do a job for Philly on the field, honestly. So
here's what I'll say. Corey Burke's not a starter. He gives you pace off the bench.
No, probably not.
Sergi Santos made Patrick Klamala look clinical in our playoff game.
Oh, I know. I remember watching.
Both of those guys are sitting on the bench, and the other 2 are starting. They're sure.
Well, if Ure doesn't get into the country, then Santos has to start.
Fair. My big question: their depth right now is all homegrown players, and Sergi Santos. Is that going to be
Corey
enough?
Burke?
Is that going to be enough to get them through the late stretch of the season? And then, with the schedule being the way it is due to that early World Cup, are they going to be able to rotate and are they going to be able to hold their own? I say yes, but that's my question.
Yeah,
where do you have them finishing?
I think they finished anywhere between like 1st and 4th, honestly.
That's where I have them. Stop stealing my notes.
Philly are just that predictable. They're always in that range. They have a great system.
I hope them and Cincinnati flip and you look silly.
If them and Cincinnati flip, I will quit the podcast and never make another episode again.
Come on, boys. Do the work. Do the Lord's work. Get it done.
He wants a solo show.
I do want a solo show. I'd be really good at it. We move into our second to last team, Real Salt Lake. Pablo Mastroeni takes his first year fully in charge after leading a team to 7th in the West with 48 points, 14 wins, 14, 6, and 14. I think that's win, loss, draw. And they just barely made the playoffs off of a decision day thriller in the 95th minute off a Damir Krylik bicycle kick. Here is the projected 11 I think they will go with. Not too much has changed. which is kind of problematic. I got Ochoa in goal, also known as the Snake. I got Herrera, Glad, Silva, and Brody in a back four with Luis, Scott Caldwell, and Damir Krylak in a midfield three. Menendez and Miram on the left and right with Cordova or Rubin or Wood starting at striker. Do you think they got better?
No,
I agree.
I think they got worse
Why did they get worse?
because you lost your best player.
Damir Krylak is still there.
Stop it. You know I love me some Damir Krylak. But
Damir Krylak is better than Rusnak. I'll put that out there right now. For
I think
RSL.
I think
For RSL.
Rusnak is more influential for RSL, but Krylak is great at getting the numbers.
Okay.
But I hear you too, because Krylak plays all over the field, so he's
Yep.
super versatile. All right, I will say joint best player. They lost one of their joint best players.
I also said no, right? Rusnak loss is massive compared to anybody that you brought in. What do they still need? Starting caliber center backs, left back depth, winger depth. I don't love Justin Miram playing right mid. That's what I got. What do you got?
Yeah, I think they need to. I think they just need more talent on the wings, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some Justin Miram, but at left back, wholly agree. The only left back that they have listed on transfer market is some guy named Farnsworth, Zach Farnsworth.
That's why I put Brody out there, because I know he played out there in the end of 2021.
Still, I agree with you. I think they absolutely need more depth there.
Yep. Best addition. I went Scott Caldwell. Gives a little bit more experience at the center mid spot than they already had, and he can obviously do the job. He's done it with New England. I like that pickup in terms of a center mid spot.
Scott Caldwell was on the bench with New England, right? I think he was behind Polster and Tommy Mack.
Yeah, last year he was, but he has tons of games under his belt already from earlier on.
Okay. I want to say I'm tempted to say like Cordova, but I don't know if he's gonna get enough time at striker to like be their best signing, because that's probably their deepest position. Rubin, Bobby Wood, and Cordova at striker.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta figure they're gonna play two strikers then, most likely.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some sort of mix there. Scott Caldwell's got 255 games for New England, by the way. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, he's a vet, no question.
I have insider information that says Cordova's not actually that great from a friend who grew up with him in Venezuela. So just that's why I didn't pick him, and because they're 3 deep there already. But just something to think about.
Guess we'll have to see. Keep an eye on it.
Biggest loss,
Come on, Rusnak.
Jason Menendez.
You're funny.
Not Menendez. What was his name? Portillo, Justin Portillo. Yeah, Albert Rusnak. Player to watch in 2022. Who you got?
I don't want to watch anybody on this team. Ochoa. Because
How
for
many
one,
times are you gonna get fans pissed off at him?
yeah, for one, he's as much as we like to dog on him, he's so entertaining to watch.
Bro, you put him and
also-
Kessler on the same team, and
they are CONCACAF
into your veins every week.
Helen Acosta, Henry Kessler. We could have built such a good CONCACAF team if Ochoa just stayed with the US. It's so disappointing.
He woke up and chose violence that day. I don't know what to tell you.
What a mistake. But yeah, I'll be watching him. I think he's one of the higher potential goalkeepers in the league, obviously. And he's going to have a big job this season, as I think this team is pretty tough on paper, to be honest.
Yeah, mine's going to be anybody who plays in the striker spot or the either of the striker spots if they go that way, simply because they need to score goals. And I don't know where it's coming from because their best goal scorer was a sub last year, and now he's gone. Biggest question going into the season. What do you got?
I want to steal yours again because I have a feeling I know what it is.
Ask away.
Who's starting at striker?
Is that your question?
Yeah, that's my question.
No, I thought you were going to elaborate more on it.
Well,
Mine.
You want me
mine-
to? I can.
No,
I
that's
mean,
fine. Mine was just what's the shape going to look like, and how will Mastroeni handle his first year in charge? They have 3 strikers, all capable of starting. Do you go with 2 and then put 1 on the wing? What type of shape are we looking at here? And Mastroeni had Colorado for a little bit. He did okay. Now he's got a team that arguably on paper is worse than the Colorado team he had. Is he the right guy to bring it up? I don't know.
yeah, I forgot that they have the 14-year-old on their team.
Yeah, Alex Kai.
That's
Yeah.
my question
man
should be,
sees
does
any
he get the
action,
start?
If
No,
he,
no,
if
my
he gets to play,
My question, I'm changing my question. If they start Axel Kai, does that break labor laws in the United States? That's my question.
That's wild.
Sorry, we were going into where we think they'll finish.
Where do you have them finishing, Connor?
Oh man. I don't want to say well. I don't want to say that they finish well, because they just ever so slightly snuck into the playoffs last year and then lost one of their best players. And plus, I feel like Arsenal are very volatile in where they finish. They snuck into the playoffs in 2021, but then in 2020 they were second to last. I think they're due for another bad season, to be honest. And I want to say they're going to finish between oh man, I'm going to say 11th through 14th. I don't see a strong season for them.
I got them 8 through 11. I thought maybe they pick somebody up in the middle, or they find a way to get 2 strikers on the field or something. But yeah, I don't see playoffs for this team either. All right.
Speaking of not seeing playoffs for a team, transition.
I think that's rough.
I don't actually know whether or not.
Inter Miami. They're roster compliant. They're brand new.
Maybe they're roster compliant.
Maybe they're roster compliant.
We'll find out next year.
Definitely, maybe. And you've got I would argue that this, outside of an expansion year, like their first year, has to be the most transfers in and out a team has ever made in MLS. I think they're pushing like 20.
Yeah, it was a long list to go through.
Unbelievable. Gary Neville takes his team that finished 11th in the East last year, 12, 5, and 17, 41 points, into another season. But is it his team or is it a new team? It's a new team.
It's a new team.
It is an extremely new team. As we mentioned, there are so many changes. If you look at transfer market, they have that little if somebody came in, they have like the club crest and then an arrow. Almost every single person has that. It's unbelievable. Actually, I'll count it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23 of their 31 players came in since July of last year. That's absurdity. So here's what we think that their 11 might look like. They'll probably go 5 in the back. But I have them 5, but I don't know if it'll be definitely 5. In goal, I don't know who's starting in goal. Diop, Marsman, or Dos Santos, any of those 3 can probably start. And it's really just going to be who earns the spot on day one. My guess is you'll see all 3 of them at some point. because I think watching them, they had a few that were just really not great. Yedlin at right back, Damian Lowe, Aim Mabika, and McVeigh at a center back 3 with Gibbsy on the left. Gregory and Malta make up a center mid 2 with Rodriguez, Robinson, and either Higuain or Campagna, the Wolves loanee, at left wing. There are a lot of other players that might feature in here. Did they get better?
No.
I said that it was a full roster rebuild. They can't really get much worse, but they did get more youth potential and some MLS experience. So I'm going to say, okay, maybe.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with no. I don't think they got better.
All right. What do they need to get better then?
I feel like they need a stronger attack. I like Gregory in the midfield. He's been a lone bright spot for them. I'm not sold at all on this back line. And especially as we talk about MLS 4.0, at this moment, I think this back line gets torched. I think whoever ends up in goal is going to have a lot of saves to make, because I don't love Gibbs and Yedlin as wing backs or full backs. They're great going forward, in my opinion, but I don't know how much they're going to give you defensively. And then your back line is Damian Lowe, who's never played a game in MLS before. Mobika, who I think has very limited experience in the league. And McVeigh, who's listed as a right back and then would play in a back 5. I think they need to improve defensively, especially with the way this league is adding attacking talent.
That's interesting. I think they've made great strides in their back line. Personally, I think they're set up for a really good year. Personally, did they improve during the window? I'm sorry. Players that they still need for me. I put NA. I need to see people play. They brought in so many people. I can't tell you if they need more or less. Best edition, go.
I think I'm a bit high on this person. I could definitely be talked out of this one, but I really like the addition of Bryce Duke.
Me too. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I think he's got high potential in the midfield for them, and with how much this team has changed, I think he's got the chance to really get into that starting 11 and to get a lot more game time than he was before with LAFC. So I think this is a good move to bring him in and maybe try to develop, I don't know, the next like Busio type player here, and just, build a homegrown, well, not necessarily, but build a young American midfielder and sell him off to Europe.
I also had Duke. I thought, as a youth national team member who has a lot of upside, I think that he's definitely somebody you can build around for the future, and definitely, like you said, sell on and start creating that little pipeline.
Yep.
Biggest loss for me, I'm going to say Lewis Morgan. I think he probably, out of all the people who left, had the biggest upside. But I'm sure that, there's so many you can pick from. I'm sure you got somebody else.
No, I was actually thinking Lewis Morgan also.
You stink.
No, I don't. I took a shower.
Yeah. There are so many you could have picked from. Nicholas Figal, LGP, Leardom, Patrick Segrist.
Oh, Pat Segrist.
Federico Higuain, Christian McCoon, Matthias Pellegrini, Rodolfo Pizarro, and you're going to go with the same guy that I said?
Yeah, because I think Morgan had very high potential and I think they could have easily sold him onto Europe for good money had they stuck with him and played him in the correct positions. He was their best player for probably their entire existence.
Maybe. All right. Who is your player to watch?
Bryce Duke.
He's
what'd you say?
I don't even think he's going to play.
He may not, but I think if he gets the game time, I think he would be exciting to watch. Probably a breath of fresh air for Inter Miami. And plus, I don't really want to watch many of these other players. Maybe Robbie Robinson, I think would be a good one. I know he had a lot of hype coming in when he was drafted, and I think he got hurt, so we haven't really seen too much of him. But I guess just to stray from Duke, since I picked him as the best signing, I'll go with Robbie Robinson to watch.
The correct answer is Mabika, excuse me, simply because he played for UK and it's a big deal over here. No, I'm just kidding. When he made 2 appearances last year, and I know that's not a ton, but he was fantastic in those 2 appearances. One of them was against Red Bull, and we did beat them 4-0, but he was their best player on the field. He was basically covering for everybody else. And the game he played after that, he was fantastic in as well. He's going to start this year, no question. And I think he will be challenging for one of the best defenders of the year this year.
That's a bold statement.
Yep. All right. Big question. What do you got?
My big question is, how many of these young guys get game time this year? Do they kind of start to flip the script and play the young guys and build them up, or do they try to continue to make the playoffs and win by playing more of their experienced guys?
Interesting. For me, the entire team has been replaced. What's the shape? What's the system? And what is Gary Neville going to do with this new team? He's already been given one shot to work with a relatively brand new team, and now he's going to go do it again. We'll see. Good part about that, though, nobody can prepare for your first few games because nobody knows what you're going to look like. All right, let's finish this up because my computer's dying. Where do you have them finishing?
I'm definitely lower on this team than I think you are, just based on our conversations so far. I kind of think that they're between like the 9 and 12 range.
Oh, God.
You say that about every single time I place a team. You're like,
you're wrong. It's tough to not react like that when you're always wrong. Because you would think like, oh, maybe he's learned. But he hasn't. You never learn. The answer is between 6 and 9. Maybe in, maybe
you're
out.
Way too high on them.
Maybe in, maybe out. These guys are going to be good.
Yeah, okay.
They're going to be good. I'm hyped. Now, this has nothing to do with me being hyped like Houston last year or FCC last year. This is a different.
This is your Houston 2.0 right here.
It very well may be, and they might be awful, but I am all aboard, baby. That way.
He's on the Inter Miami hype train.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that is it for season 3, episode 6. That one went a little quicker than I thought it would. But all of our not so deep dives have finished, and it's time to hear from you guys. What do you think? Did we get your team right? Did we
Probably
get
not.
your team wrong? We probably got it right. Let's be real. But make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you can see whenever we go live. And make sure you're following us on all forms of social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, so you can catch when we go live. Really, that's what we're looking for, right? Just a heads up for the next couple of episodes. We've got our season predictions for the East and our season predictions for the West in our next 2 episodes coming up. So make sure you stick around for those because those are going to be really fun. We're going to talk about predictions, team placements, kind of dig a little bit deeper maybe on some teams. They might get crunched all into one because we're going to have to do our awards predictions as well. We'll see what we have to do there. But yeah, lots of predictions coming up in the next few weeks. So make sure you stick around and subscribe and share and tell all your friends because we're having a lot of fun and we want you to have fun with us. Anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next time on the next episode of Designated Players Podcast. See ya.